Welcome to the SARS Tax Practitioner Readiness Program, Module 5, Channels of Engagement. What are the learning objectives of this module? Well, you are expected to understand the role that each channel of engagement plays while trying to assist your clients. It's also there to help you to understand the scope of each channel of engagement. And we will also pay a little bit more attention to the power of attorney. What are the different channels of engagement? Well, we have our walk-in office, which is our branch office. Then we have our practitioner email system, which has specifically been set up for your purposes. And then we have our call-in service, which is our contact center. E-filing, which is our digital platform. The SOCs, which is our online or website-driven channel. And then we have another telephone service, which is our mobile application or Mobi app. However, before you can engage with SARS on behalf of your clients, there needs to be something in place, and that is your power of attorney. Now, there are 3 different kinds of power of attorneys, which you will find on the SARS website. There will be a special power of attorney, and this is where a taxpayer or a representative gives somebody else a power of attorney to act on their behalf. Now, this is not the power of attorney that you need to complete or have completed for you. There is, however, a special power of attorney just for tax practitioners. Now, this power of attorney needs to be completed by the taxpayer or the representative taxpayer, which will then appoint you as the tax practitioner, and this will then allow you to act on their behalf. Now, it's extremely important. Remember, a power of attorney is a legal document. It has to be in place before we can assist you on behalf of your client. If, however, you have staff that you are employing, then you in turn need to give them authority on the special power of attorney to transact on your behalf, on behalf of the client that you are representing. Now, it's important to remember that although your staff has a special power of attorney, you are still held responsible for what they are doing on behalf of your client, because the client has given you power of attorney. We have picked up some scary situations where practitioners have signed power of attorneys on behalf of their clients. Please, please, please keep in mind, the power of attorneys are a legal document. And if it were to come to light that you had done this, that you had signed the power of attorney on behalf of your client, well, you could be deregistered as a tax practitioner. What would a checklist sort of look like when you wish to engage with SARS through our various channels? Well, ask yourself the following question. What is the nature of the query? What is the different work processes that need to maybe go together in order to achieve a resolution? For example, if you wish to make a deferred arrangement with SARS, before you can make a deferred arrangement, you need to understand that all your returns must be up to date. So there are 2 processes that almost needs to be done in order to assist you with your query. Do you maybe need to do something before you lodge a query, or do you need to lodge 2 separate queries? Is there maybe a self-help option that you can make use of in order to retrieve the necessary information instead of phoning or visiting SARS? Are there maybe any FAQs that explains what you need to do? Is there maybe a turnaround time for the particular issue you are querying about? And if it is within the turnaround time, you need to keep in mind that by engaging with SARS, you are not speeding up the turnaround time. And then lastly, what is the most appropriate service channel to use? Yes, you need to give some thought to these questions before attempting to contact or engage SARS. If you do this, it will ensure that your query is being dealt with speedily as well as efficiently. Let us now focus on the SARS online self-service, and that is the service which is on our website. If you go to our website on the landing page, if you scroll slightly down, you will notice that there is an option that says online services. If you click on the online services, you will be presented with these different options. Now, these are all options or queries that you could have dealt with through this channel, which is the digital channel. In other words, on our website. And there are 9 of them at the moment, and these options change from time to time. So we would really like to advise you to constantly check the SARS website in order to see if there are maybe additional service offerings or queries that you can resolve on this platform. Some of the queries that could be resolved is your request for a tax number, the submitting of supporting documentation, the search for a VAT vendor, a tax compliance status verification, or maybe even to register an estate or a trust. If you wish to register a registered representative, well, you can do that as well online. For example, if you want to upload supporting documents, this is the screen that you will be presented with. You need to ensure, though, that all of the information on the screen is completed correctly. There must be a case number. We must have the details of the taxpayer, not your details here, but the details of the taxpayer, the tax type, ID numbers, etc. This information must be submitted in order for us to process your request correctly. After you have completed this information, you will then be provided with an option to upload the necessary documentation. And please make sure that when you upload the information, please name the files correctly, be clear as to what will be found in the file that you are uploading. The other option that you could also, or other query that you could also resolve online is the account queries. So if you want to make a payment allocation, again, provide us with the necessary details of the taxpayer, upload the necessary information, and that will then be processed in our back office. The same will then apply to all the other options that you have. We will not run through all of them, but we would advise that you go to the SARS website and go through the various options. If, however, you feel that you really need to engage SARS, maybe not say face-to-face, but verbally through an appointment, well, also online, one of our online service offerings is to make an appointment. And this is the screen that you will be presented with. Again, there will be mandatory information that you need to complete, but as a tax practitioner, you will complete the field where it says tax practitioner, because you are not the individual. The individual one will not apply to you. You might be a individual, but you are not the individual with whom the query is for. Neither are you the company or the trust or the registered representative. So option number 2 will also not be applicable to you. It will be the third option. You are wanting an appointment because you are the tax practitioner. Now, let's say you manage to get your appointment. What would we require of you? Now, number 1, please honor your appointments. If you cannot honor the appointment, if something happened, and that is normal, something might crop up that might prevent you, please inform SARS and cancel the appointment timeously. You need to remember that when we have allocated a certain time to you for a virtual appointment, we are taking out a very valuable resource. And that resource could have been passed on to a fellow tax practitioner. However, because you have not cancelled your appointment, that individual or staff member now sits around idling and twiddling their thumbs. So we really would like to see that you, number one, honor your appointments, and if you can't, that you please cancel the appointment. It's also very important that you remember that before you go to your appointment, make sure that you have uploaded all of the necessary documentation before the appointment. This will then ensure as well that your query is dealt with speedily and efficiently. And these are just the little things that you need to do in order to ensure that the engagement takes place correctly. What if you decide that you want to speak to SARS via the telephone? Well, there's an option as well for you. You will choose option number 1. You will notice in the middle block, these are the different options on the SARS at the SARS Contact Centre. Option 1 is reserved for you as a tax practitioner. Now, again, we only want you to contact SARS, either verbally or in person, if there is not an online service channel available. You need to remember, though, that when you phone our contact center, you as the tax practitioner need to be authenticated. And the same applies when you do a virtual appointment. We need to authenticate that you are the person who you say you are. Now, this will help us to identify the correct tax practitioner. It will help us to identify that we are dealing with you with regard to the correct queries, so that we cannot come back to us to say that we gave information to a practitioner for something that they did not have the necessary power of attorney to do. So the authentication phase is extremely important for us. We need to make sure that we are dealing with a correct person. However, we have noted that approximately 35% of all of our calls that are coming through are calls where there is a self-service option available. Now, can you imagine the amount of staff that it takes to answer 35% of the calls? So we really appeal to you as tax practitioners. Make use of the self-service options. If you make use of the self-service options, it reduces the call volumes. It will then allow us to deal with your queries a lot quicker. And it also allows us to deal with those queries more efficiently. So when it comes to making telephonic queries to SARS, same process. First of all, ensure that there is not a self-service channel that is available. Go through that checklist that we mentioned right in the beginning to ensure that we can then deal with your queries more efficiently. The slide that you are seeing now is an extract on our website, which outlines the different kind of queries that are being dealt with at our different channels of engagement. Now, we cannot go through all of them, and it does change from time to time. So I will really encourage you to go to the website, check for this particular section on the website where it outlines what kind of services are available at the different channels. However, if we could just take you to this slide, you will notice that a changing of bank details or bank detail verification can be done either at the tax practitioner unit or it could be done on the branch, but then it could also be done on e-filing. Now, for us, we would much rather prefer that the client does the bank detail changes on e-filing as opposed to coming in to the branch office, for example. Because remember, coming into the branch is going to take a valuable resource away from our service channel. So where you can do it yourself, we would really appreciate it if you can do it yourself or the client. As we indicated, we're not going to go through all of the service offerings for each of the engagement channels, but we would request of you to go through this in your own time. So one of the important things to remember when looking at our different service channels, well, if there is a service channel that requires a human intervention, such as our branch office or our contact center, that should be your last point of contact and not your first. First, go and look to see if there is a self-service option that is available. That is our preferred, that should be your preferred choice, making use of the self-service option, because you can control when you do it, how you do it. And this will then enable SARS to make use of its resources more efficiently in dealing with the queries that really matter to you. So please give careful thought before you start engaging SARS by the telephone or in person.